Today I'm going to be doing my July wrap-up and my Booktubeathon wrap-up. Also my biannual bibliothon wrap-up. First book I read in July is Leah on the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli. I already talked about how I feel about this book in my reading update / what I'm eating video that I filmed in Italy. It's not my favorite book of Becky. I couldn't really stand Leah. I liked the romance. I liked seeing all the characters. I liked a lot of things, but I didn't like Leah. I gave it 4 stars. Next, I read Remembrance. Remembrance by Meg Cabot. This is the last book in the Mediator series. One of my all-time favorite series by Meg Cabot. She's mostly known for her Princess Diaries series, but her Mediator series is honestly amazing, and I feel like it does not get enough credit. It's amazing. So basically, this book came out a few years ago, but the actual series ended 10 years ago, and it follows all the characters from the series but grown up. 6 years have passed since the end. It had the usual ghostly shenanigans that all the Mediator series has. The main character of the Mediator series, she sees ghosts, and it's kind of like, it's not really like a ghost whisperer type book. It's more of like a teen rom-com filled with ghostly adventures, and it's so much fun. If you're looking for a great series to binge that's super addicting and super fun, has paranormal, supernatural elements, definitely check this one out. And the last book was definitely one of my favorites. The next book I read in July was History's All You Left Me by Emma Silvera. I've literally been talking about this book forever, and it took me honestly so long to finish. It's not that I hated it or it wasn't good. It's just that it tackled so many heavy topics. This book is about Griffin losing his first boyfriend / best friend. He dies in a drowning accident. And this book follows present day Griffin dealing with that and past Griffin falling in love with Theo. And honestly, even though the past moments were happy and everything, I always in the back of my mind had the fact that Theo was dead now. And seeing all the happy moments that Theo and Griffin had together, they weren't happy. They honestly just made me more sad because I just knew that Theo wasn't alive anymore. It also deals with OCD, and that was really interesting to read. I never read a book before that dealt with OCD, and I believe this is Own Voices for the OCD rep, and it was really interesting how it was woven into the story. It wasn't the main focus of the story, it was just kind of there. I definitely learned a lot about OCD. I definitely think I want to check out more books where the main character struggles with that, because there's so many different types of obsessions and compulsions that somebody can have. OCD is such a complex illness. I believe I gave this book 4 stars. Not my favorite Adam Silvera book just because it was just really heavy to read. My favorite book is definitely They Both Die at the End. That book is a masterpiece. Go read it. Next, the only book that I read during the biannual bibliothon. Lux Consequences. Okay, no, Lux Consequences is both books. I only read Opal. I really liked Opal, but I feel like I didn't enjoy it as much as the first 2 books in the Lux series. I don't know why. Maybe because Opal dealt with some serious topics. A couple people die in the first 2 books, and the 3rd book in the series is kind of like them dealing with the aftermath of that death and the consequences. Hence, consequences. Really fun, really addicting. I'm really excited to dive into the next one, Origin. For the last book I read in July, 50 Goddesses to Inspire and Empower You, Legendary Ladies by Anne Shen. I love this book. I read her first collection of amazing ladies. I forget what it's called, but basically it was like 50 ladies who changed history, and the format of the book is similar to the format of this book. Each lady has a beautiful illustration and a paragraph of their accomplishments, when they were born, where they're from, etc., etc. And this one follows goddesses, and it was really fun read. I read this in one sitting. I mostly read this because the illustrations are beautiful. I definitely learned a lot. There are a lot of goddesses in here that I never heard of before, and reading your story was really fun. And even if you don't, just flip through the book and look at the illustrations. Just look how beautiful that is. I can't. It's so pretty. I think my favorite illustration has to be the Artemis one. Even though Artemis is not my favorite goddess by any hand. Look at this. It's just so beautiful. I can't get over how beautiful this is. think this one might be one of my favorite. Look how beautiful that is. Mostly because I love blue, and look how much blue. Oh my god, I can't. It's so beautiful. Got this one. Mermaid goddesses. I love mermaids. More Hindu. Look how cute this one. This is a fairy goddess. Ah, another mermaid. Buddhist goddess. I checked this out from the library. It was really fun. I read it in a sitting. Definitely check this one out if you want to learn more about some goddesses, and also look at beautiful illustrations. All the books I read in July. Now let's move on to my Booktubeathon reads. I didn't read much during the Booktubeathon. I did not feel the best. The first book I finished during Booktubeathon is Binti. I loved this book. It was so much fun. It's a novella, really, not really a book. It takes place in a futuristic world, and the main character, she leaves her family and she goes and attends this university, which is like the best university in like the galaxy, super prestigious university. She wants more for herself. She's very ambitious and determined, and so she applies for this university and she's accepted. She's the very first person to be accepted from where she's from, and her family tells her, no, don't go, you need to take over family business, and she's like, nope, I'm going. So she goes. I listened to the audiobook and read it at the same time. Best way to experience this story. The narrator was amazing, and the story is so unique and fascinating. I believe the author is Nigerian, and I think this book / world was inspired by like African mythology. It's so unique and like anything I'd ever read before. It's very diverse. The main character is Black, obviously. I believe most of the characters in here are also Black. It's written by a Black author, so definitely check this one out. It's great. The book I finished during the Booktubeathon was Piccolo Principe. This is the Italian edition of The Little Prince. I bought this when I was in Italy. Not a fan of this book. I didn't really get it. I understand that it's like an allegory and that it's not what it's really about, but I just didn't get it. I don't know if I just didn't get it because I read it in Italian, and I don't know Italian as well. I know English, even though it is my first language, sadly. I don't know. I just didn't understand this book. But I did watch the movie because that was part of the challenge. Read and watch the book to movie adaptation. I actually like the movie so much more. The animated one, which I believe came out in 2015, amazing. It basically, I love the approach that they took with the movie. So basically what they did is they took the story of a little prince, and the movie follows this little girl who meets this old pilot. An old pilot tells her the story of the little prince, and it follows the little girl's life and her relationship with the pilot. And it's so cute. The animation is beautiful, and the story is just so heartwarming. So I love the movie so much more than the book. I don't think the book was really for me. Those are all the books I read in July, and during the Booktubeathon, and during the biannual bibliothon. Definitely not the best reading month, but honestly, I was in Italy for the first 2 weeks of July, and when I came back, super jet lagged, and I got really sick. I'm not surprised that my reading was not the best, but hopefully in August I can have a better reading month. But anyways, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Comment down below what was your favorite book you read in July. Mine was definitely Remembrance by my cat. So much fun. How you did for the Booktubeathon if you participated. How many challenges did you complete? How many books did you complete? How did you do? Tell me down below. And my social media links are all down below. My Twitter, my Bookstagram, my Goodreads. Arrivederci!